So as Peggy said, we're going to present today on the college's new Continuing Competency Program. And we're also going to give a live demonstration in our test site in MyCCP. So we'll give you how to complete the 6 steps, but also then to see how you would complete and log your 24 hours of learning in MyCCP under MyCRNNL. And we're going to just start with a brief overview of the 6 steps of the new Continuing Competency Program and then the live demonstration. So if you're not aware, the college launched the new program provincially on March 9th, and today we're just going to review how to complete the new Continuing Competency Program. And hopefully at the end of the session, you'll be able to navigate how to complete the 6 steps. We hope we have struck a balance between establishing a program that is effective, efficient, and reflective of the continuous learning RNs and MPs engage in their practice setting, while ensuring that the public receives safe, competent, and ethical care. And the program is meant to be beneficial to both RNs and MPs and the public. And the college created an online MyCCP portal to assist you in completing the 6 steps. So just as a note, the new program is effective for the current licensure year, April 1, 2022 to March 31st, 2023. So any learning that you log into MyCCP should be from April 1, 2022 to March 31st, 2023. And also, if you're not aware that the CCP requirements are in place related to licensure renewal. So you must have your 24 hours of learning logged by the time that you go to renew your license, or you will not be issued a license to practice. And currently, we have 4,321 RNs or MPs who have not logged any hours. And we'll talk a little bit more about the requirements are for licensure renewal as we go through the presentation. We're now going to show the video that was used to launch the program on March 9th.
Its Continuing Competency Program. You are always learning in your dynamic role, growing your knowledge and your competency in countless situations, adapting to the demands of an ever-evolving field. The new CCP allows you to get credit for what you learn each day. The red tape of verifications, signatures, and paper forms are no longer. The new program is designed to be efficient for nurses and beneficial to the public. Throughout the year, as you learn, your 24 CCP hours can immediately be logged and instantly recorded using the new MyCCP online portal. From the transformation of patient care to scientific advancements, the College of Registered Nurses knows that your profession is constantly progressing. What you learn and how you record it is progressing as well. The college's remodeled Continuing Competency Program. Lifelong learning for lifelong care. The College of Registered.
So now we're going to look at the new CCP program. So let's look at some of the changes that are evident in this new program. And the college has eliminated much of the red tape that existed previously. So completing the self-assessment and learning plan has become informal, reflective exercises. There are a number of questions in the CCP guide that we created for you that will aid you in these exercises. And you should reflect on your practice setting and identify learning that is required for your nursing practice or your practice setting. There is no longer any distinction between formal and self-directed or informal learning. And you log all your learning that you participate in. This promotes learning within the context of the practice setting, allowing RNs and MPs to capture learning happening in the everyday and what they learn intuitively, but are not capturing currently on paper. So there's also no verification forms required. They are no longer required as a part of the CCP program. RNs and MPs no longer have to have learning activities verified. This means that a verification form is no longer required to be signed. You log your learning activities online in MyCCP, which is located under MyCRNNL. So some things about MyCCP online portal. As we said, there's no longer any paper forms. You log all your learning activities online in MyCCP, and you access that through MyCRNNL. It is suggested that you record each learning activity in MyCCP after its completion, and this will aid in documentation in a timely fashion rather than having to enter all of the learning at a later date or at the time of licensure renewal. Because as we said, all of your 24 hours of learning has to be logged in MyCCP, along with your summative evaluation, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. That has to be all logged in MyCCP in order to be granted your license to practice. And the college now requires 24 hours for the new CCP program, but you are not limited in the amount of learning you can engage in throughout the year. You only log 24 hours. And you can edit your entries in MyCCP. And most recently, we added the ability that if you make a mistake, you can delete that entry. Also, there's been some changes to the CCP audit. There's no longer a requirement to submit documentation for the CCP audit. Everything is recorded in MyCCP, and staff will use that material for future audits. Now we'll talk about some of the key regulatory changes. So one of the changes is that RNs and NPs complete the same CCP requirements with the same number of hours. So both must complete 24 hours of learning activities and the same 6 steps. And RNs and NPs must complete and log in MyCCP online portal all CCP requirements in order to obtain a license to practice. Non-practicing members, which include those that are on mat leave or sick leave or disability leave, members who let their membership lapse, or members who resign their CRNNL membership and are applying to renew a license, must meet CCP requirements for 12 months period immediately preceding the application for licensure renewal. So learning must occur within 12 months of returning to work to ensure the RN or MP is current and up to date to return to work. So for example, for those of you who are on mat leave for 18 months, you'll need to do your 24 hours of learning 12 months before you're going to renew your license. So before you go in and start that application to renew. So registrants and other applicants issued a practicing license after April 30th will have their learning activities prorated. So the total number of required learning activity hours shall be calculated as 2 hours per month for each full month remaining in the licensure year. So for example, a registrant applies to renew their license after being on mat leave on August 8th. So before you go to renew that license, and from a non-practicing to a practicing license, you had to do those 24 hours within 12 months. But then when you get a practicing license, you won't have to complete 24 hours of learning at licensure renewal. It will be prorated. So if you came back on August 8th, then there is 8 months left to the licensure year, times that by 2 hours, and then you'll have to do 16 hours of learning at licensure renewal. The CCP audit is also changed. So inclusion in the CCP audit will occur automatically via a random selection of registrant entries in the online MyCCP. And these entries may be audited by the CRNNL staff at any time during the licensure year. So now we're going to review how to complete the 6 steps in the new CCP program. So here's a visual depiction of our CCP program, and there are 6 steps in the new CCP. Step 1, conduct your self-assessment, is an informal process. Step 2, identifying your learning needs, is again an informal reflective exercise. Step 3, complete and evaluate the impact of each learning activity. Record 24 hours of learning activities on MyCCP online portal is step 4. Step 5 is complete a summative evaluation, and step 6 is a CCP audit. So let's look at step one, self-assessment. So you conduct your self-assessment. And as I said, this step is now an informal process. It's a reflective exercise and does not need to be recorded. So conducting a self-assessment allows you to strategically think about or reflect on your professional practice within your practice setting to help determine your personal and practice strengths, select the specific competencies to improve or acquire, or to focus your selection of learning needs or interests for the year. And you can start this by reviewing your standards of practice and code of ethics. You can reflect on your professional practice within your practice setting, and think about your individual competence, the knowledge, skills, and judgment you currently possess, and those you want to learn more about or to bring into your individual scope of practice. Think about your current practice setting, your patient, client, resident populations, your colleagues, and members of the interprofessional healthcare team. Think about your your nursing practice and roles and how both are changing and evolving. What do you need to remain current and keep up to date in your practice setting? Think about those collective roles that you possess and engage in based on your RN entry-level competencies that encompasses your nursing practice. And then think about the interactions and behaviors as an RN or MP within a collaborative interprofessional team and what competencies that you need to engage in a collaborative team. So again, this reflection may assist you in identifying some of the learning topics that you want to learn more about for the licensure year of April 1 to March 31st. And a suggestion is to conduct your self-assessment early in April, just to, encourage you to start thinking about what are some things that you want to learn more about. Again, this is a reflective exercise and does not need to be recorded in MyCCP. So step two is identify your learning needs. And again, this is a reflective exercise and does not need to be recorded. A suggestion is to complete this step early in the new licensure year, generally April or early May, so that you can start thinking about those things that you want to learn more about for the upcoming year. So consider asking yourself, what learning opportunities will foster professional growth? What do I need to learn to enhance my practice? What can I learn to positively impact client care or services in my practice setting? What do I want to learn? I'm curious about in my domain of practice, whether it's frontline clinical practice, administration, education, research, or policy. Is there information from peer feedback, performance appraisals, feedback from formal education that may help to identify specific learning needs? And the college does not require you to submit your learning needs. However, you may record them in the text box provided in Appendix A of the CCP guide for further future reference or for completing further steps such as the summative evaluation. So again, it's very informal. You do not need to record your learning plan or learning needs. And again, a formal learning plan is not required, and after the learning needs are not required to be logged in MyCCP. Then step three is complete and evaluate the immediate impact of each learning activity. So you must complete 24 hours of learning, and that averages out to about 2 hours per month. But I want to stress that doesn't mean that you have to do 2 hours of learning per month. That means that you can do on an average of 2 hours, but if you do all of your learning in April, May, that's fine. But for 24 hours, it averaged out to 2 hours per month. And after completing a learning activity, you need to evaluate the immediate impact of that learning activity on your practice. So consider the following questions to help formulate your evaluation of your learning activity. So what new knowledge did you gain from completing the learning activity? And how will it help you to improve or change your practice? What competencies did you gain from the session? What new piece of equipment or procedure or product did you learn about for your practice setting? And as you complete each learning activity, a suggestion is to immediately or shortly after log the learning activity in MyCCP log. And this will aid in documentation in a timely fashion rather than having to enter all learning at a later date or at the time of licensure renewal. And you can use your iPad, your Android phone, your iPhone, your PC to do this capturing of your learning activity. Just a note that some individuals are having some issues of logging your learning hours at your work environment, and you may need to connect with your IT, because CRNNL website may not be recognized as a safe website. So just connect with your IT department. And all learning counts, but it must be related to your practice. And there is no longer any distinction between formal and self-directed learning activities. And we do have a list of possible learning activities in Appendix B of the CCP guide. So here's some examples of learning activities. Learning hours are still calculated as 1 learning hour per 1 clock hour of learning activity. For each learning activity, it's the responsibility of the individual RN and MP to reflect on how that learning activity is important to their practice and accurately record the number of hours in which learning occurred. So as I said, in Appendix B, you'll see this list in the CCP guide. And some examples are learning on the job or at the bedside. So it may be the clinical educator is providing a session on a new IV pump. It could be learning about a new medication in e-therapeutics or the eCPS, or looking up a disease or condition in UpToDate. It could be attending rounds in person or through WebEx or Zoom. And those rounds could be client, it could be grand nursing rounds, it could be medical rounds, it could be M&M rounds, just to name a few. Then there's independent learning. For example, reading journal articles, participating in journal clubs, researching online internet sites, reviewing textbooks, equipment or policy manuals, reviewing research proposals or reports. And also completing education modules and in-services and web-based courses, attending a workshop or a seminar. Some courses, for example, could be completing your controlled drugs and substance education course or program. It could be doing a CASN module through the Canadian Association of Schools of Nursing. It could be a CAMH or a BCCSU opiate antagonist therapy course, just to name a couple. And as I said, it could be a university, college, or specialty certification courses. Such example, the learning that you do for your CNA certification. It could be a post-basic degree, diploma, or certificate. Again, it's attending conferences, teleconferences, Zoom workshops, or webinars, seminars, or symposiums. Also is participating in professional committees and special interests, or provincial or national special interest groups. It could be professional journal publishing and research, all of that learning that you do to prepare for that. It could be employer required courses such as ACLS, TNCC, MORE-OB, CTES, neonatal resuscitation program, safe patient client residential handling, BLS, LEADS, LEAN, conflict resolution, just to name a few. And then it's preparing for preceptorship, mentorship, supervision, teaching, or presenting. So the key here is that is the prep work that you do for this. And this could include reviewing literature, reviewing policies and procedures, reviewing manuals, reviewing course materials, reviewing medications and their product monographs. It's the prep work involved in preparing to be a preceptor, a mentor, or providing supervision to new or novice nurses, or teaching a course, or delivering an orientation, or presenting to a committee or a conference. Because when you're preparing, you're learning, but when you're actually giving that presentation or that course, you're the subject matter expert. So that time is not included for CCP. It's the time that you're preparing and learning to do that event. In step 4, then you record your 24 hours of learning in MyCCP. In this step, often 3 and 4 are steps 3 and 4 are often completed together. So in step 4 and step 3, you log in and you record what your learning activity is, and then you would also then, as part of that step 4, is evaluate or tell us what you learned by doing that learning activity. So you complete your learning activity, log it in MyCCP log, and then you evaluate the immediate impact of the learning activity. So just tell us, describe what you learned. So in your slide or in your MyCCP, you'll record the date completed, and we have a calendar. So it does autocorrect, and you describe what you did. So include details of your learning activity. For example, the date and title of the article you read, the date and name of the workshop you attended, or the name and length of the conference you attended. Then, for example, I read an article titled "An Update on Clinical Judgment in Nursing and Implications for Education, Practice and Regulation" from the Journal of Nursing Regulation. It took me 1 hour and 20 minutes to record, and that's what I would put into my CCP log. And you have to ensure that you record the amount of time it took to complete each learning activity. And you'll note that the time allotments are in hours and 10-minute increments. For example, if your session lasted 58 minutes, you can round up to 1 hour. Or if your session lasted 38 minutes, you can round up to 40 minutes. And there's a maximum of 300 characters or 50 words for the learning activity description. And then after you put in MyCCP log what the learning activity is, up to 50 words, there's also an arrow that at the bottom of the box in the lower right-hand corner that you can drag down so that you can see all of the words. Then you record the immediate impact. So you describe what you learned in that learning activity. And again, there's a maximum of 1,000 characters here, or about 150 words for the learning impact. And again, you can drag down on the box to make everything appear that you've written there. It is very important to enable your pop-ups, or you may miss some important information and instructions in the pop-ups in MyCCP. So you need to enable those, because as you complete the steps, there's questions that pop up to ensure that have you logged it? Do you want to submit it? Do you want to make changes? So make sure that your pop-ups are enabled. And just a tip, if you are near your 24 hours and on your last entry in your CCP, you go over your 24 hours, MyCCP log will allow you to capture those hours, and your end total will be more than 24 hours. Otherwise, the total number of hours accepted by MyCCP is 24 hours, and then you will be directed to complete your summative evaluation. So if you're at 23 hours and then you do a session that took you 4 hours, we'll capture that to 28. But generally, if you have 18 hours and then you do something that's 6 hours, it will cut off at 24 hours, because that's all you need to put into MyCCP log is 24 hours. And as I said, MyCCP log only requires 24 hours of learning to be logged. However, that does not prevent you from completing further learning throughout the licensure year. So all you need to do is complete 24 hours of learning and the steps required in the new CCP, but you continue to learn throughout the year. And you may have all of your CCP logged and your summative evaluation completed by by July or May, or it may take you up to January, February, or March to complete your 24 hours of learning. And again, the suggestion is to record your reflection as soon as possible after each learning activity, so that you can identify the immediate learning or new knowledge gained from the learning activity. Because if you have to input all of this prior to licensure renewal that opens up in mid-January, that's going to be a lot of information that you need to put in. So you can log this right after, for example, today that you attended this session. You can put in for the hour and a half that you attended today, or the hour, whatever time that takes. You can put that right in immediately in MyCCP log, and then you can say, I attended the college's education session on the new CCP, and what did I learn? I learned about the 6 steps in the new program. So here's a screenshot of what MyCCP log looks like. So you'll see that in the MyCCP log, you have your completion date. And as I said, you can go in, there's a calendar there that you can select the date, and you can go back if it, today is October 25th. If you put in something today and you realize, oh, I forgot that I did a session on September 7th, you can go in and on that calendar and select that date. So in that second box, you provide a learning activity description, and this is limited to 50 words. So you can just say you would CRNNL education session, new CCP. That's all we need. Then you'll have to tell us how long it took you to complete that learning activity. So it's in hours and 10-minute increments. So if you put in an hour, in the hours section, you must click 0 for the minutes. So that's just a tip there for you. And then in the final block there, it's your learning impact. So you need to describe what you learned. And again, that's about 150 word limit there. So you can be very concise. So then it's step 5, complete a summative evaluation. So after you complete your 24 hours of learning and steps 1 to 4, you complete a summative or summary evaluation. And that summative evaluation describes the overall impact that all of the learning activities, those 24 hours, had on your individual nursing practice. And you summarize the outcomes from the entirety of your learnings. You're not required to restate the immediate impact of each learning activity. Instead, you're required to describe in a short paragraph how the entirety of your learning, those 24 hours, impacted or changed your nursing practice. And this might be several paragraphs or summaries if you participated in a lot of different topics, or it could be just one paragraph. It's up to you. But the length of the summative evaluation is dependent upon the outcomes of the learning and the discretion of the RN or MP. And again, we've limited, there's a maximum of 2,000 characters or 250 to 300 words for the summative evaluation. Because in a very concise, comprehensive way, we just want you to tell us how your practice changed or was impacted by doing all of that learning. You don't need to restate the impact of each of the learning activities. It's the overall impact. And consider the following questions when completing your summative evaluation. So these questions will help you formulate what you're going to write for your summative evaluation or summary evaluation. How did completing your learning activities impact your nursing practice overall? How did your practice change after completing the 24 hours of learning? What will be different? How did the learning activities help you provide safe, more competent, compassionate, or ethical client care? And if you're not currently working, how did your learning prepare you to return to your practice setting? And how did the learning keep you up to date and current to return to work? And registrants will not be issued a license to practice for the upcoming year until all CCP requirements are met. So for licensure renewal, you must ensure that you have steps 3 to 5 logged in MyCCP. And here's how the summative evaluation looks in MyCCP. So once you've logged all of your 24 hours of learning, you'll be taken to this screen in MyCCP. And before you have your summative evaluation completed and before you start logging your hours, you'll see summative evaluation under the third arrow, but you won't see the description that's underneath it. It's only when you've logged your 24 hours will you see that box. And you'll be asked to complete your summative evaluation and then submit it. And you can edit your summative evaluation before you submit. You'll get a pop-up that says to edit before you submit your summative evaluation. If you submit it, then it's done and you'll be taken out of back to the main page. And then the last step is the CCP audit. Which there has been some changes. So the process for the CCP audit moving forward will be very different than previous years. And the process will start for the 2023 audit, which we audit the preceding year, April 1, 2022 to March 31st, 2023. So the audit will be based on this new program where all of your data is already in MyCCP. So the information submitted in MyCCP will form the basis for the content that is used for the CCP audit, and no further information will be needed to be entered or submitted. An inclusion in the CCP audit will occur automatically via random selection of RN and MP entries in the My Online CCP and may occur at any time during the licensure year. And after the audit is completed, the RN and MP will receive notification on the outcomes of the audit, and there are no exceptions for the audit. So if you want to learn more information about the audit, you can see our CCP framework for more information, which is contained on the CCP Continuing Competence webpage on our CRNNL website. So here's some complementary resources that we developed to help you navigate how to complete those 6 steps. So you heard me talk about the new CCP guide, which gives you instructions on how to complete those 6 steps. We also recorded our education sessions, which are available on the Continuing Competency webpage. And also you'll have this education session that will be contained in our archived education sessions as well. We also developed an online resource of frequently asked questions that is in the accordion style. So if you click on a question, the answer drops, then you click on the next question and that answer recedes, and then you have the answer to the next question. But we do have some frequently asked questions there for you. So hopefully those will provide you with resources that you need to complete the CCP requirements. So if for those of you who have not seen our new website, here's the new college's website homepage. And to find the CCP webpage, you can use the search engine at the top or click on the distorted lines called a hamburger and go to practice and then click on continuing competency. So Peggy, do you want to just click on that for us just to show our RNs and MPs of where to find that? Is that working?
Okay, hold on. So this is the website. Can you see the web page?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so when you're on the web page, you go into the lines here. This is where the resources are. You go down to practice. So this is practice. When practice comes up, it will say practice resources, practice consultation, and practice competency or continuing competency. So all of our resources, like your standards of practice and your scope of practice, are under topics under practice topics under practice resources. So that's all of this stuff. But if you want the continuing competency, you go into continuing competency. The video that we showed to introduce it at the beginning, like the little advertisement is right there. It tells you about the new Continuing Competency Program, and you can get into MyCRNNL through this. And the 2 resources that Michelle were talking about, the Continuing Competency Framework is right here. That's what it looks like. So that's your Continuing Competency Framework when you click on that link. And wait, I don't want to do that. And then the competency guide, this is just, it has some spaces that you could write it in, but everything in the presentation and all the pictures are here, and all the little tips that Michelle said, like how to make this an easier process for you, is in this guide. And then the accordion style frequently asked questions. So there's the question, and then you just click the arrow and it comes up with the answer. And then the next question, you click the arrow and it comes up with the answer. And there's many ways to get into MyCRNNL. They're everywhere on our continuing competency page. And then if you look under continuing competency, you'll see the CCP audit, and that just gives you the frequently asked questions about the new CCP audit. Will there still be one? Same thing in accordion style, and it brings you to the RN regulations to let you know where that came from. How many members, it will tell you. Your MyCCP portal is there, so you can log into there. So with our new website, if you want to go back to the home page at all, you just got to click our little emblem there, and then it brings you back to the home page. And if you scroll down on the home page, that's where your events are, and you can view all the events that are coming up. So just to let you know about that. So we need to, I'm going to demonstrate how to log in, and we'll actually log in now to MyCRNNL and go to the MyCCP portal. So in the upper right-hand corner above the little search engine and above the hamburger, you click on that. And it brings you to your mycrnnl.ca member self-service page. So you do this every single year when you are registering. So you put in your registration number, and then you put in your password. So password. So if you forget it, you have to contact registration and get your password reset. So you hit submit. So I'm never going to save it because you might change it. And then, so right now I'm Anakin Skywalker. So it should say welcome in your name. And there will be 2 bars here. So your current status with CRNNL is no status. And to view your practice hours on file with CRNNL is green there. So we want, you'll see a selection. When you renew your license, you usually go into the licensure membership renewal application to renew your license. Now, what you're going to do is go to number 3, which is MyCCP. The other ones are to update your CRNNL profile. So if you move or change your name or change jobs, you have 30 days to update your profile. And you can retrieve all your tax receipts there for your registration fees and your CMPS. You can resign your membership, but we're going to concentrate on the 3rd one, which is MyCCP. So we go in. And the first thing you're going to see is 2 bars. So your learning activities are 0 out of 0 for 24 hours. So I don't have anything done yet, and my hours aren't complete. So this is supposed to be red. It looks pink to me. But so you get the first arrow will show up, and it will say MyCCP for April 1st to March 31st, 2023, which is your licensure year. So you have to click this in order to get into it. So once you see the 2 bars and you click on MyCCP, you have to click that to get into it. So as soon as you click it, your 3 arrows pop down, and one says log your activities. So we don't have anything logged. So we're going to do that. But after you get it logged, you can review or edit your learning activities. And if you have the 24 hours, so both of these bars are green, then you can click on the summative evaluation and it will let you do it. So what we're going to do is we're going to log learning activities. So as Michelle described, there's 6 steps to the CCP process. And the first step is to reflect on your learning needs. So a little tip that I use is if I'm going throughout the year and there's something that I really don't like doing, or I, try to pass it off to Michelle to do, or, I don't feel comfortable doing something, then that is what I think about that I need to do for CCP. And then I reflect on my practice setting and what's coming up and what I need to know about. And you could always look at your performance appraisals and what was on your performance appraisal of what you could improve upon. So when I reflected upon my standards of practice, the code of ethics, and what my job required, under standard 1, we have to comply with legislative and employer and regulatory policies and procedures. And I know that I don't like reading pieces of legislation. So I thought to myself in my plan, and this is all my reflective activities, I don't need to write any of this down, is that I was going to, read pieces of legislation that are applicable to my job. So so when you click on the completion date, it comes with your calendar. So this is excellent because I did it a while ago. So I can go back to September, and it was the first one was September 5th. And so I click September 5th, it comes on. So what did I do? So this was, I just have to state what I did. What was the learning activity description? I reviewed the criminal Code of Canada, section 241, with respect to medical assistance in dying. So that's what I did. So you notice when I was typing, it says how many characters I have left, so I keep doing that. So I am not good reading pieces of legislation. It takes me a lot of time to read legislation. I find the legislation language difficult. but I need to know it because there's changes in legislation with respect to medical assistance in dying, and we need to write a document to inform people who are participating or aiding in it about it. So it actually took me 4 hours. So I do the drop down and I pick 4. And because it was 0 minutes, it took me exactly 4 hours. I do have to put down 0 minutes. Otherwise, it will give me a little red thing to tell me to come back to do it. So what did I learn? So then you describe the impact of your immediate learning. I learned that there are changes to the legislative requirements. Whoop. Q-U-U-I-R-E-M-E-N-S for MAID with respect to a reasonably foreseeable death, and that I need to be aware to write a new document or answer questions. So that's my learning impact. So I need to know about that for my position in my practice setting. If somebody calls me about medical assistance in dying and the changes to the Criminal Code of Canada, Section 241, I will know about it. So then I hit log. So it says, it just gives you a review. So the date completed was September 5th, 2022. My learning activity was I reviewed the criminal code. Learning impact was this. It took me 4 hours. So then I say log. I can say submit. I can edit it if I make a mistake, or I could say log and submit another entry. So I do want to submit another entry because I did something else on September 29th. Boom. Submit. Oh, I hit submit by accident. So that's fine. So when you see now, it says my learning activities, it used to say 0 out of 0 minutes out of 24. Now it says 4 hours out of 24, but my hours are still not yet complete. So now I go back in and I'm going to log a learning activity. So this one was still further away. It was September 29th. And what I did was I went to the nursing grand rounds. Oh, nursing, well, it's nursing education and research. I'm typing and spelling under pressure. Council nursing grand rounds.
Yeah, autocorrect will come up though, so you can make those changes if you make a mistake.
And the title of the presentation was Supporting Mental Wellness with e-health technology. So I picked this nursing grand rounds to go to. Specifically because I am responsible for updating the virtual nursing practice expectations document. That took an hour, and it actually took an hour and 15 minutes. So because this is in 10-minute increments, I'm going to round it up to 20 because we had a little bit of a conversation afterwards. And I described my immediate learning. So I learned about various resources to support mental wellness using a virtual platform to, I never know how to spell platform. So like Michelle said, I'm going to autocorrect platform. Using a virtual platform and the expectations for use. And I can log that learning activity. So it will come up to say the description, the learning impact. And so it said 1 hour and 20 minutes, but I feel bad because, you know, maybe that conversation I didn't have was 5 minutes long. So I'm just going to go back and edit it And I'm going to say, okay, fine. It was 1 hour and 10 minutes. And I'm going to hit log. So you can go back and edit. So I have 2 entries. So I hit submit. And now it counts it down for me. I got 5 hours, 10 minutes, 24. So I go back in, something else that I just completed. Now, this one was only the 18th of October. It was called the Brain Story Certification. So I type it in, certification course online, and it was modules 1 through 20. Each module, and this is absolutely honest, took me 1 hour. So it took a full 20 hours to do with 0 minutes. And I learned how adverse childhood events can affect brain architecture, I'm going to say. I don't even know how to start it. So brain development, which helps me with research I am conducting on stress and like post-traumatic stress. So that is something I'm going to log. So that was that one, 20 hours. Okay, so we can review it. I'm going to say submit because it's complete. And now I get the pop-up. So you make sure you enable your pop-ups. It says my CRNL says you have logged the required number of learning hours. Your summative evaluation must be finalized before you complete your annual licensure renewal. So I'm going to stress this now. So I hit OK. Both of my things are green. And I have 25 hours. So it went over the 24. No big deal. The last one you put in, if it goes over, it will do that. And it says that my hours are complete. So I go back in and see how the first time we looked at the summative evaluation, it wasn't there. Like this box wasn't there, it just had summative evaluation. So now I must complete the summative evaluation, because if I don't, and I don't hit submit, then when I go to renew my license, that hyperlink to click on, it won't let me click on it because I don't have this done. So you won't be able to renew. So so I just got to write 1,000 words, and I'm not going to bore you. I'll just make something up. My learning this year helped me create documents that were current and evidence informed to support good nursing practice and prevent poor practice for public protection. So now I'm going to hit submit, and then it is all over. It says summative evaluation review. I'm going to hit submit. It says once you submit your summative evaluation, you cannot edit your CCP information. You're done. I hit OK. I did it. So now 25, program complete. Nothing left to do in MyCCP. So I can go back to MyCCP home, which is here. I don't need to. I can go back to the main menu, and because I have MyCCP complete, I can click on this. Now this will turn red, and I can renew my annual licensure. So that's just an overview of how to complete the member self-serve. You must log out. Remember, you log out at the end, and there's, your MyCRNL has all kinds of information for you. So make sure you check it often. So I'm just going to get out of this, Michelle, and I have to get out of this And we're back to the PowerPoint.
Okay, so the last slide just talks about ways that you can contact the college. So we are trying to keep in contact with RNs and MPs, and we know that RNs and MPs are using a number of social media platforms. So we now have a Facebook page, so you can go in and at College of Registered Nurses of Newfoundland. And many of you may have learned about this education session today through Facebook. Our manager of public affairs is sending out those messages through these social media platforms, prior to the Tuesday education sessions. And we also send other regulatory information out through Facebook as well. We also have a Twitter account. We have an Instagram account. We have a YouTube account, the College of Registered Nurses of Newfoundland. And as we said, each of these Tuesday teleconferences or education sessions that we do, we record them and archive them, and we archive them on the YouTube channel. And then, this is our physical location, 55 Military Road. You can connect with us by telephone, 709-753-6040, or we have a toll-free number as well. Then we have our website, our new website, www.crnnl.ca. And then I want to bring your attention to the new practice team at crnnl.ca. So this is an email that comes from practice, Peggy and I, as nursing consultants for policy and practice. We send out important regulatory information, but we also send out important clinical information from key stakeholders that we share with you that is applicable to your practice setting. So the first Monday of each month, and we've been doing this since January, you actually receive notes from the practice team from this practice email. So if you see that email come up, you know that we've sent some important information to you, particularly from the practice team that is relevant to your practice. And we've sent a lot of messages in these notes from the practice team alerting you to that the new CCP was being launched on May 9th. We've advertised our education sessions. We've advertised this past October some of the do's and don'ts for the new program, and reminding you that these completion of the steps 3 to 5, having your 24 hours of learning logged and your summative evaluation completed is a requirement for licensure renewal. So when you go to renew your license between January, when the application opens, to March 1st, is the administrative deadline, but all of your CCP hours can be logged right up to March 31st. But that information has to be logged, or you will not be granted a license to practice. You won't be able to proceed in MyCCP to renew your license. So just a thought there. So we're hoping this afternoon that we've been able to demonstrate that this new CCP is much easier to navigate. It's more user-friendly. There's less paper requirements. There's no longer any paper requirements. And once you get in there and using it, it's very, very simple to use. If you're able to type a message, you're able to log in MyCRNNL, MyCCP. So hopefully, that has helped you to learn how to navigate the 6 steps of the new CCP.